Well, we've had a good run. We've had wondrous times, sad times, but all of them were moments we will never forget. So it is with great sorrow that I have to announce that Malphite is no longer a meme. This means that if you don't count the Voidborn because Ikathia taught us what they are, and if you don't count the Yordles because Yumi taught us what they are, there's only one champion who remains. So welcome our new king of hilariously outdated stories.
I'll drink you under the table, scrub.
Hello everyone and welcome to a video I didn't think we would see this soon. Yes, the time has finally come and Malphite was dragged out of the ancient lore pit where Amumu is a Yordle and the summoners rule the world. In other words, Malphite was made completely canon in a really clever way. Riot used pieces of his old story, which, by the way, did not change since 2011. And what's hilarious about that is that when the universe was released the first time, we were told that whatever is on universe is canon. If it's not there, it was scrapped. But somehow, not only did Lee Sin's old story where he was a summoner still make it through, but Malphite's old 2011 story was also copied over. And it was because of that mistake that Malphite became a pretty worthy meme. But as we mentioned, that's in the past now. With that said, there is still one more hilarious thing surrounding Malphite. You see, while Malphite was fully updated and he is now a pretty awesome part of the League universe, his bio has the entirety of 3 sentences. Count with me. 1, 2, 3. Thankfully, he also has a short story that really sells who Malphite is. Or at least what we think he is. So not all hopes are lost. So, let's have a look at the bio first. Malphite is a massive creature of living stone. He was born from the heart of the monolith, which is a great construct found in Ishtal. This is what I meant when I said that Riot cleverly used Malphite's old story. The monolith used to be a combined hive mind of rock people on another planet. So it is cool to see that Riot pays tribute to the old story by using its assets in the update. Anyway, as a wise stone giant, Malphite has studied the elemental balance of Runeterra for thousands of years, using his tremendous strength to maintain order in a frequently chaotic world. These days, mortals wake Malphite up too often from his slumber, and he has to endure their moody nature, while struggling to find a purpose worthy of the last of his kind. Sadly, from this bio, we didn't learn much about the monolith, or why is Malphite the last of his kind. But that should be explained later when we have a look at the other Ishtali characters. But now, let's dive into Malphite's short story, that actually goes deeper, no pun intended, into what Malphite is. The story begins with Zoanite workers digging in a mine. The main character of this story is a Shuriman Piltovan female protagonist called Shurei. She was following their mechanical limb tunnel chief, called Holet, deeper into the mineshaft. She breathed via a used Ezo filter, and she tried not to imagine how many other Zoanite miners had sucked air through it over the years. "Hit you was a say on a square," grunted Holet looking over his shoulder. "Was a big team's taken." It was at this point that I froze for a second. Normally, when I don't understand slangs, I have to do some research. But this one was way out of my league. Thankfully, the story does actually translate it. "We heard you were a good essayer," Shurei translated. But we were solemnly mistaken. It was 7 years since she had come to Zone, but even she needed a few moments to chew through the miner's strange slang. Hewlett wanted Shurei to tell her overseer that they didn't need a pilty to test the quality of their work. They were a Zoanite mining squad like no other. And this certainly wasn't the first time they were dealing with mining problems. Shurei assured Chief Hewlett that she had delved mines everywhere from Shurima to Zone. She knew these rocks as well as Hewlett. As they entered the gallery chamber at the end of the shaft, it seemed like Hewlett would be willing to accept that Shurei was as skilled as he was. But just like he told her, the rock here was not like anything she described. The chamber was full of miners that sat next to chem drills, pneuma picks, and crates of explosives. Every one of them should have been attacking the rock in search of a hexite seam. After all, Shurei promised Baron Grime that it was here. Fun fact, Baron Grime is one of the chem barons revealed in Zone's art. So this is not a new name. Baron Grime is a well-known chem baron. Hewlett lifted a cam lamp to illuminate the rock at the end of the chamber. At first, Shurei wasn't sure what she was seeing. Zoanite rock was most often a combination of crushed sedimentary limestone, interspersed with pockets of metamorphic rock wrought by intense heat and pressure. But what she was seeing here was something entirely different. Shurei snatched up the land and walked the length of the gallery. She pulled off her glove and ran her fingertips over the wall. Pitted and warm to the touch with a curious amber hue, like something she would expect to find in her native Shurima. It simply made no sense to her. Whatever this was, It wasn't here yesterday. That's what Hewlett tried to tell her. They were drilling just as Shurei told them to, but when they came back the next day, this is what they found. The issue is, whatever this was, the Baron wasn't paying them to sit around doing nothing. They had to blast through it. Hewlett grinned. He asked if they were free to use explosives then. Shurei approved. That's when a voice boomed from all around them. A shockwave in the air, each word sounding as though it had been formed by grinding tectonic plates. The voice advised them not to do that. The miners took to their heels, but Shurei flattened herself against the side of the chamber and pulled her helmet tightly down on her head. The voice sounded like it belonged to something titanic. Cracks spread across the ceiling of the gallery. She looked up in time to see the pitted rock wall move. It shifted, grinding as it reshaped itself. Shurei watched in amazement as it formed two deep craters that looked like closed eyes, and a projecting crack that could be a nose. Dust poured from a curved and jagged chasm that looked horribly like a vast mouth. The face filled the wall before her, 30 feet across and twice that high. Shurei froze because if this was its head, she wondered how big was the rest of its body. The craters of its eyes opened with a grinding sound that reminded her of the time she had seen that wandering weaver girl, who performed wonders on the road to Kennethet. Yes, she's talking about Thalia. Shurei met the gaze of the colossal face, its eyes a liquid yellow gem-like material. Quartz, she thought, not natural to this region. The voice explained that this rock was infested. Shurei pressed her hands against her ears at its deafening volume. As the voice continued the explanation, we learned that there were creatures moving within it. Creatures beautiful in their own way, but they were chaotic. The voice urged them to not break this rock. It would end badly for them. The eyes blinked and pebbles fell from their rocky lids. Shurei asked if Malphite was the mountain spirit or something like that. The brow of the face creased with a groaning rumble. Malphite answered no, or at least he didn't think so. He believes that he was part of a spirit once, but there is so much chaos in the world that it is hard to remember anything. Then Shurei simply asked, what is he then? Which was a question Malphite himself didn't know the answer to. He sighed mournfully, and he explained that he is a shard of a greater whole, a servant of order seeking purpose. They call him Malphite. Loose rocks cascaded from the cracks in the wall of the tunnel, and the timber supports groaned as they were subjected to stress they were never built to endure. Shurei didn't like the look of the split lines on the seam above her. They were ambitious, eager to race onwards. Shurei asked Malphite to stop moving. He almost managed to collapse the cave. Malphite apologized. Then Shurei asked what did he mean by the rock being infested? What was it infested with? Malphite answered that it was things that shouldn't be. Creatures that lived only to consume. Shurei felt her heart race. She grew up in the shadow of lost Icathia. She knew creatures that matched such a description. She exclaimed that she knew these creatures, and that they only roam around the deserts of Shurima. Malphite said that once, perhaps, but now they thread the grass of the world like the roots of a poison tree. Shurei looked uneasily at the ground. The rock face chuckled, and more shards of stone fell from the roof. Malphite didn't worry about the creatures in this rock. He trapped them in his own body, and he would crush them soon. But more will come, so they should be wary of delving too deep. The glow of the creature's eyes faded as its heavy lids closed and the tunnel began to shake. Then the rock face told them to go now. Hewlett appeared behind Shurei and took hold of her with his chem-powered arm. He told her that if they stay for too long, the cave would crush them. Shurei nodded, backing away from the gallery. She would tell Baron Grime that the seam was played out. And that was Malphite's story. I love how Riot is trying to keep Malphite as a partial mystery, just like Rammus. Also, I wonder if Riot is teasing Malphite's future rework. Trapping someone inside his own body and crushing them feels like something Malphite could do in-game. With that said, the recent Ishtal update brought to light a lot more than just Malphite. I know, Kiana is there too. But the one person I care about more is our friendly neighborhood time disruptor. Hey, did you know that we have social media and Twitch where we talk about other League facts and stories? And did you know that we have neat mugs and shirts too? The links to all of that will be below. And as always, thank you, come again.